Penguin Random House Audio presents A Dream About Lightning Bugs, A Life of Music and Cheap Lessons. This is the author, Ben Folds. For Emma. File under music. Music feels like the frame on which I've hung nearly every recollection, giving me access to large files of childhood memories. Each song, each note, has a memory attached to it. Just a few bars of the saxophone intro of The Girl Can't Help It by Little Richard, and out of nowhere, I can see the towering leg of my father's gray sweatpants passing. I can almost feel the crusty scar of the radiator burn on my forearm and smell the creosote of asphalt shingles. The song Puff the Magic Dragon brings back the texture of the dirty linoleum floor, the spinning of the colorful label of the 45 RPM record, and the window-lit specks of dust on their journey around my room. These memories are from when I was 2 years old. That's a lot of detail to recall from so far back. Either that, or I have a good imagination. I recently asked my mother if it was accurate to say that I was listening to a couple of hours of music a day when I was 2 years old. She said, nope, it was more like 8 hours, splayed on the floor at my record player, organizing my records into neat stacks, and just listening. And I would become an absolute irate little jackass when interrupted. 8 hours. Damn, that's obsessive. But then, some things never change. It's also a lot of input and stimulation for such a young brain. I happen to believe that all the music I listened to in my toddlerhood has served as a memory tool of sorts. Maybe that's why I can accurately describe the floor plan of our house on Winstead Place in Greensboro, North Carolina. Where all the furniture was placed, where the Christmas tree was, which radiator to avoid ever touching again, the jar of salt I would never again mistake for sugar, and the small black and white TV playing a rocket launch from Cape Kennedy. We left that house in Greensboro when I was 3. In fact, we moved nearly every year of my childhood, and I can tell you these sorts of things about each house we lived in. Neurologists and music therapists are increasingly convinced of the effect of music on the brain. A music therapist friend of mine likes to say that music lights up the brain like a Christmas tree. She's referring to the large regions of brain scans that light up when stimulated by music. Other important functions, like speech, activate far smaller areas. In fact, there is an observable physical difference between a musician's brain and everyone else's. Here, I Googled this for you, so you wouldn't think I was crazy.
Using a voxel-by-voxel morphometric technique, neuroscientists have found gray matter volume differences in motor, auditory, and visual spatial brain regions when comparing professional musicians with a matched group of amateur musicians and non-musicians. From Brain Structures Differ Between Musicians and Non-Musicians, Christian Gosser and Gottfried Schlag, Journal of Neuroscience, October 8, 2003.
But neuroscience is not my area of expertise, and this is not a book of science or facts. This is a book about what I know, or what I think I know. It's about music and how it has framed and informed my life, and vice versa. About the stumbles, falls, and other brilliant strokes of luck that brought me here. A Dream About Lightning Bugs. Here's a dream I had when I was 3 years old. It's the first dream I can remember. It was set in one of those humid southern dusks I knew as a kid. The kind of night where I'd look forward to the underside of the pillow cooling off, so I could turn it over and get something fresher to rest my head on for a good minute or so. The old folks described this sort of weather as close. In my dream, a group of kids and I were playing in the backyard of my family's home in Greensboro, North Carolina. Fireflies, lightning bugs, as some of the old folks called them, lit up in dazzling succession and sparkled around the backyard. Somehow I was the only one who could see these lightning bugs, but if I pointed them out or caught them in a jar, then the others got to see them too, and it made them happy. This was one of those movie-like dreams, and I recall one broad, out-of-body shot panning past a silhouetted herd of children, with me out in front. There was joyous laughter and a burnt sienna sky dotted with flickering insects that no one else could see until I showed them. And I remember another, tighter shot of the children's faces lighting up as I handed them glowing jars with fireflies I captured for them. I felt needed and talented at something. Now, this dream wasn't any kind of revelation. Hell, I was barely 3 years old. And although it stuck with me all these years, I've never taken it to be a message from above that I'm a chosen prophet, or Joseph, from Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. However, a half-century later, it's obvious to me that the dream reflects the way I see artistry and the role of an artist. At its most basic, making art is about following what's luminous to you and putting it in a jar to share with others. Here you go, a melody. See? I found it. It's always been right there. That's why it's so familiar. Maybe it was in the rhythm of the washing machine, the awkward pause in a conversation, or the random collision of two radio stations blasting from two different cars, and how it reminded you of your parents trying to be heard over one another. Remove a note, one flicker, and it's the sound of the door closing for the last time, and her footsteps fading into the first silence and forever. But wait, nope. The silence wasn't really silence after all. You just weren't paying attention. There's always sound beneath the sound you hear, or something else to see when your eyes adjust. It turns out there was also the sound of children playing outside your window, and below that, the buzz of a ceiling fan. That's a sound you'd overlooked before, but now it's all you can hear. We all see different flickers in a busy sky. That's where the melodies live. What do you notice that glows beneath the silence? Can that glow be bottled or framed? From time to time, we all catch a split-second glance of a stranger in a storefront window before realizing it's our own reflection. A songwriter's job is to see that guy, not the one posing straight on in the bathroom mirror. As we speed past moments in the day, we want to give form to what we feel, what was obvious but got lost in the shuffle. We want to know that someone else noticed that shape we suspected was hovering just beyond our periphery. And we want that shape, that flicker of shared life experience, captured in a bottle, playing up on a big screen, gracing our living room wall, or singing to us from a speaker. It reminds us where we have been, what we have felt, who we are, and why we are here. We all see something blinking in the sky at some point, but it's a damn lot of work to put it in a bottle. Maybe that's why only some of us become artists, because we're obsessive enough, idealistic enough, disciplined enough, or childish enough to wade through whatever's necessary, dedicating life to the search for those elusive flickers above all else. Who knows where this drive comes from? Some artists, I suppose, were simply cultivated to be artists. Some crave recognition, while others seek relief from pain or an escape from something unbearable. Many just have a knack for making art, but I'd like to think that most artists have had some kind of dream beneath the drive, whether they remember it or not. I'm amazed when someone sees a sculpture inside a rock while the rest of us just see a rock. I say, hell yes, to the architects who imagine the spaces we will one day live in. And a round of applause for the stylist who sees what hair to cut to make me look respectable for a couple of weeks. I bow low and fast in the direction of those who paint amazing things on the ceilings of chapels, make life-changing movies, or deliver a stand-up routine that recognizes the humor in the mundane. What all those artists have in common is that they point out things that were always there, always dotting the sky. Now we can take it in and live what we missed. My dream about lightning bugs still fills me with the same pride and sense of purpose as it did when I was 3. It reminds me that my job is to see what's blinking out of the darkness and to sharpen the skill required to put it in a jar for others to see. Those long hours of practice, the boring scales, the wading through melodies that are dead behind the eyes in search of the ones with heartbeats, and all that demoralizing failure along the way. The criticism from within and from others, and all the unglamorous stuff that goes along with the mastering of a craft, it's all for that one moment of seeing a jar light up a face. And sure, sometimes...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?